Hey guys, what's up? Eddie Alho here with KissAnalog.com. Okay guys, what I'm going to do is I got this Sugon, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, Soldering Station. Same kind of tips as this new Fnirsi that I just reviewed, okay? And also, I've got a welder. Got a bunch of these old welder soldering irons around, but we're going to try one of that. That's an old 60 watt, okay? I mean, they're ubiquitous. They were just used everywhere back in the day. 60 watts. You know, soldering irons used, well, they still are. Rated in 20, 30, 60 watt, maybe 80, 100 watt, maybe. I don't know if you get handhelds that high. Oh, yeah, you can. You know those big cattle prod ones? Those are like pretty high power. But, you know, since these soldering stations came out, and especially since the integrated tips, which I explained in my review on this, these tips are just amazing. If you're used to the older tips, you know, hey, if you're happy with that, so be it. But if you are looking for a new soldering station, and if you do a lot of soldering, I think you owe it to yourself to try one of these guys out. The prices on them are really good, and I mean, I'm looking at this guy down here, because back in the day, these guys probably cost as much as that thing new, maybe. I don't know. But I think I think you can get the basic station here with one handle for under 120 bucks. That is crazy inexpensive. Forget the price on Sugon. I'll put the price down here. But let's come over here. I want to show you some things. I'm going to show you. So when I reviewed this thing, some people talked about, well, you didn't really show us how well the tip holds temperature and if it can unsolder solder joint, you know, big solder joints and things like that. But these guys are high wattage power supplies. I can't remember what they are, 100, 200 watts, something like that. But anyway, they're high wattage. So I've used this one some. This one's supposed to be a lot like it, so I just assumed it was going to do just as well. But they're ridiculously good. So I guess I didn't even think about showing you how great they are because because I don't know. It just didn't even occur to me. So I'm going to show you now, okay? And I'm going to use a fluke soldering or temperature probe to kind of try to show the temperatures. It's the first time I've done this, so let's give it a try. All right, guys. So we have the Fnirsi station here. And let's go ahead and look at that. I've got channels set at 360. Well, you know what? Let me go down to 300 first, okay? So this up here says the temperature we're set at. This is the tip I have, the F245, or the handle, okay? And actually the tip I'm going to use is the one with the slight wedge on the end. It's the one that they call the HSO2A C2. It's the one they call the HSO2A-C2, okay? Just has a slight wedge on the end. I did that because it's going to be easier to take these measurements. Whoops, let's turn this guy back on. All right, so I've got my Hioki 4282 awesome meter, DT 4282. Okay, this is set at 300C, right? Now I've got a fluke probe here. See, it has a little temperature probe here on the end. So this is a fluke here, and I've had it for a long time. Don't use it that often, but yeah, so anyway, okay. So we're at 30C. Let's see if it gets up to 300C. I'm going to touch it down here. So see, I got this one because I could touch it flat against that. Okay, temperature jumps up pretty quick. Now, I think this temperature probe just takes a minute to, you know, warm up a little bit. Looks like we're, you know, this might need to be calibrated actually, the station. I didn't calibrate the low end. I calibrated the kind of the middle end, but yeah, it's 285 it says, so it's a little bit on the low side. Okay, let's go to channel 2, okay, and let's see. I need to get a better temperature probe for this kind of stuff, I guess. Well, it's staying around 260, it looks like. Let me hold it away from it a minute. Maybe I'm sucking all the heat out of the tip while I'm holding it. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so let's go to channel. Do I have to say okay? Oh, maybe I have to say okay to turn it on. I don't know. You know, I haven't used this station much. I just got it. Okay, yeah, now it's working. Okay, I guess I had to say, hit the OK button. Okay, there's 360. So now it's really sensitive on where I touch it. I think it's a probe. I mean, this temperature probe. Yeah, it seems like if I touch in the right spot, I get to heat up faster. You know what? I might have pushed that probe in too far, and it might be kind of shorting out on itself. We'll lift it up. Yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to. Yeah, it's kind of hard to hold it without pressing it down. Yeah, I think that's what the problem was. Okay, there's 360. Yeah, it's really sensitive on how I place it on here. Okay, let's go back to, let's go to 300. Whoops. Let's change the screen. Now, see, I do have the other screens too. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm on that screen. You know what? See, it's showing the temperature dropping here. Let's go to this screen. This one's showing the temperature dropping, and this is a power, this blue one. So the power is like pretty much turned off right now because it's trying to cool down. Okay, it's getting close to 300. Yeah, there we go. So see, I think it's just where I set this probe on here, but I feel like if I touch it just right, I do get to 300 or close to it. Wonder if I go this way. Like I said, I haven't calibrated this on the low end, so that could be part of my problem too. So it seems like it's a little bit low on the low end. Whoops. Let's go to the right screen. Okay, let's go back to that. You can see the power kicked up, the blue one, and the temperature starting to increase. And up in the right corner, you can see it's set for 330. Yep, there's 330. So I think it's a trick in getting soldering iron to touch right. It's actually a little over 340, right? 338. Okay, let's go channel. Let's go back to the 360. And you saw a little power bump there, and the power's going up, temperature's going up. Wow, yeah, I'm sorry guys, I thought this was gonna be easier to do, but it's just me touching this stupid thing, I guess. But it looks like it's, I don't know, I'm having a hard time getting it to go above 3. Okay, yeah, wow, I'll tell you what, man. Alright guys, so I got the soldering iron on channel 1, 300C. Shows 300C up here. And this is the iron that I'm using, the F245. I have this other one too, but it tells me which iron I have. And that's the supposedly the current temperature. So we're going to take a look at this. Channel 1, 300C. Okay, now 0.1%. This is like moves around as it's trying to keep the temperature. Okay, now I'm going to use a Hioki and this little fluke probe here. Okay, so I've had it heated up, so that's why it keeps on jumping up, because it's actually kind of cool here in my workshop. So this, I got to get a better setup to check temperatures, honestly, because for soldering temperatures it's kind of tough, but let's see what we can do. I feel like this low temperature needs to be calibrated. It seems to be a little bit on the low side. So I think that's due to my calibration. I haven't calibrated the low end, honestly. So, but I did calibrate the top two, I think. So, okay, so I could have showed you something here, but okay, here, let's see if this one is up to 330. Now this says it's 3%. I think that's power that it's trying to get the temperature up. It's probably temperature. But I don't know. Seems to be kind of sensitive where I touch it. This little thermal probe. I thought this would be a good probe to do this, but yeah, I'm having my second guesses now. Now this is supposed to be the temperature. It's saying it's 330, and this is the power. It kind of goes up and down as you try to soak more power out of it. God damn motherfucking son of a bitch. Fuck. Okay, I put a little solder on it just to see if I can get a better temperature exchange. Okay, there we go. Now it's jumped up to 330. Yeah, maybe that was the trick. Let me go back to... Okay, now it's the 360. It's the third channel. Okay, put a little solder on it again. Okay, it's up to 360, just a little bit above. But yeah, this thing here, you can see when I drop channel down to channel 1, I think it is. No, I guess I'm channel 2. I think that says it's heating. Okay, so let me go, yeah, there's 300, okay. So if I go here, that's power, that's temperature, you can see it dropping. I'll put a little solder on it again. I feel like this one's a little bit on the low side maybe. Yeah, it's close, but it's a little bit on the low side. So you can always go up and down for temperature to increase a little bit, but okay, now it's jumped up to 330. See the power and the temperature right there? I feel like I need a little solder on here to get it to transfer temperature better. Alright guys, you know what? Let's go ahead and try this other station. I want to see what it looks like. Alright, just turned it on and let's see what it's going to do. Oh, I have to pull it out, I guess. And so here's the temperature coming up. I think that's percentage of temperature that it thinks it's at. And it also has 3 channels. Right now it looks like it's channel 1. And it looks like it's set for 375. Let's see if that pans out. Here, let me get a little solder on there. Yeah, look at that. 380. Okay. Yeah, around 380. Let's go channel 2. Okay, it's 350. All right, that's looking pretty cool. That's like a little high, 3.6. Well, it's probably come down in temperature, maybe. Maybe if I stuck the tip in here and cooled it off a little bit. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it goes to these different percentages. Okay. Wow. Okay, so that's 360, 365, still a little bit on the high side, probably needs to be calibrated. Let's go to channel 3. Channel 3 is 380. Look, it's going different percentages, trying to, I think 0 means, like, that must be power, because when it's 0, maybe it's holding temperature. Wow, look at that, jumped up to 405. So yeah, this Sugon seems like he really kicks butt, right? Wow, that's crazy. So that definitely seems like it's working really well. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to switch power back over. Okay, turn this guy back on. Say, yeah, that's okay. Let's go to channel. Well, let's start off channel 1. And I'm going to show you this power curve right here. This kind of shows the temperature curve. I think that's the temperature. It seems like it's a little bit on the low side on that 300, but okay, 290. Okay, let's go channel 2, 330. All right, I think it's just, I think I'm getting better at holding the temperature probe down. I'm starting to bend it in though. Let me pull it back out. Yeah, I started bending it in a little bit too far, I think. Okay, we're about 328. Okay, let's go to the channel 3. That's 360. And look, I'm going to go to this graph so you can kind of watch that. Here's the temperature up here. All right, so that's getting close. Whoops, I slipped off the thing. Now there's calibration mode where you can calibrate your channels. That one feels like it's on the hot side. This one's a little bit on the low side. But yeah, that Sugon really kicks butt, right? It really heats up fast. This guy seems like he's doing a good job too. So let me try one more station. All right, guys, I just plugged this in. This is a 60-watt Weller. It's an old Weller station. I mean, it's been around for a while. 60 watt. It's a 336B tip on it. Tightens right here. It just has the heating element here that goes up in the tip. And let's make sure it's heating up. It takes a little longer than these new ones, but here, let's see. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It takes a little bit longer. But, you know what? I'm going to give it a few seconds. I'll come back. All right, guys. I think this took like a full minute or so to heat up. And will it melt solder? Starting to. Let me clean it. All right. So, you know what? I don't know if it's fully up to temperature. It seems like it must be getting close, but yeah, it's an old 60 watt. Now 60 watt was on the higher end for this little hand soldering station. All right, still heating up. Now these, you know, aren't really regulated very well. They're just power driven. It's a 60 watt station into this tip, which I think will heat. I thought it would heat up to about 360, 380. Okay, so we're getting 360 probably. Okay, we'll stick it in this thing here, cool it off a little bit, see if that cools it off. All right, let's see what we're at now. Here, we'll get a little more solder on it. So yeah, anyway, you can kind of see what's going on here. It does take a little while to heat up. Yeah, it's an old Weller 60 watt station, or well, soldering iron, they'd call it, not a soldering station. That's what you call one of these guys. All right, guys, so I just wanted to show you, it's interesting, like this one, I just put it in, so it hasn't gone to sleep yet, but once you put it up there, it'll go into sleep mode, where this one goes in and out of sleep mode, I think, instantly. Look at that. That's interesting. This guy takes a little bit longer for it to, I think there's a timer you set, and see, it just beeped, and then there's a timer, and then it'll wind down and go into kind of a sleep mode, then it goes into a hibernation mode after that. This guy's really quick, how fast he just goes in. Now he's coming up to temperature, and it kind of highlighted. There we go. It gets a little bit brighter, and then it narrows down. But okay, so 380. So you got these different temperature settings, and it looks like I think you can just adjust it up and down, and then you can hit the set. I wonder if you hold this down. Yeah, it looks like you go into some kind of set mode. So there, I'm sure there's a menu in there where I can turn on and off beepers and make the display stay on. Like, see how it's bright, then it right there dims down a little bit. So now it's temperature's dropping down. So yeah, they're similar. They use the same kind of tips. Okay, irons look very similar. This one screws in the cord. That one's a fast click in on the Sugon. So T21 it says. So anyway, but yeah, you can see they take the same kind of tips. I'll show you here, same size, everything. So there's the pin, real sharp one here. It's probably one I'll probably use for a lot of the small stuff today. But Yeah, the wedge one here on here, this is nice for a little bit bigger parts. And this, the wedge one on the left one here, trying to get the tip straight. So this tip here is a little bit smaller. I got the little bit bigger one on the, very similar though, on the Fnirsi, okay? So, yeah, there we go. So that's, and you can see they have the same kind of thing to pull off and remove your tips. Now, I have a little thing in here. Uh-oh. Okay, I have this little guy in here. I've had this around forever. I was trying to show you the bottom, but I'm losing all the bunch of junks coming out of it. But yeah, so this is this thing here. It's a tip tinner, it says. So I've had this for like years. It's funny how long it's lasted. It might be actually getting kind of corroded now, I think. It does actually kind of feel like it's like some, well, it's still kind of working. Yeah, I think it's, you know what? I think it's actually kind of dried out, you know, kind of gotten gunky. Maybe it's time to replace it, right? I thought, wow, it's lasted so long, but it still kind of works, I guess. But it does leave a little bit of a gunky thing on top, so yeah, I think it's time to replace my tip tinner. But anyway, that's what was in that tub. They're just both kind of the silicone thing, all this rubber around, like this stuff here. And then there's a place here where your tips will drop in when you, like, you pull off a tip like that, it'll just fall in. I just took this tip off. And you just put another one in like that. And then say, yep, I'm okay. And back in action. But on this guy, there's this light that just keeps scrolling across. I don't know if it changes, like based on what you're doing. It doesn't seem to. It just kind of goes across. But up here, you get this percentage thing. So see, when I touch down on this, it's like going up. Like, I think it's power. It's saying it's pushing power up a little bit to try to keep the tip at temperature. So you see this thing, but you can also go in this menu where you can actually watch the temperature. But pretty much what I see is pretty much straight line all the time. See that line? It's almost like it's programmed to show you the temp, because it doesn't seem like, I don't see any change in that line, which is kind of interesting. But the power definitely goes up and down, showing you that, see now it's dropped because I'm not cooling it off, but when I put it in here, it bounces back up. But the temperature, it's 0 to 500, so it's probably changing so little that you don't really see any change. It'd be nice if it went from, say, 3 to 500 or something like that, or you know what I mean, plus or minus 10 degree kind of thing instead of full scale. And then on this guy, it has the lines like that, kind of like, you know, showing you that, okay, we're up, it was 100%, now it's down to 1%. So that's same kind of thing, showing you power that's being used, and then you can go up. So if I go up in temperature a little bit, see, it's going to go up in percentage and then it drops right back down. So if I cooled off by putting it into this, so it went up 50%. It's trying to keep the temperature up. Then it drops. But it looks like it's showing you the set temperature, not the actual temperature tip, which some people like. For me, I set the temperature. I don't really look at the soldering iron after that. So that's just me. All right, guys, so let's give this thing a try. Actually, that's kind of a small tip. Well, you know what? I'm gonna really try our luck with the small tip. What we're gonna do is try to unsolder one of these big old, look at this gauge of wire. What is that, gauge 8? Something like that. It's a huge gauge of wire. This is an old stereo console. Here, let's see if we can unsolder this. And I won't even, usually I use, when I'm doing something like this, I'll use some solder to kind of wet it to get it conducting better. Whoops, there we go. Kept sliding off. And I could crank this up a little bit too. Let's get a little bit hotter. Whoa. Okay, whatever. I see it melting solder. Now the thing is half the solder's on one side, half of it's on the other, I just noticed. So, okay, it's totally loose from that terminal. Look at that. Big gauge of wire. I gotta kind of push the wire out of this terminal. Maybe I can pull it that way. Ow! Ooh, that's hot. Solder splash, ow. You know what? It's the reason why you should wear glasses and stuff like that when you're soldering. But also, it's not a good idea to do what I'm doing, pulling wire through a terminal like that. But look at that. Took it out really easy. That was, or is, this wire is totally hot right here. I mean, that heated that up really well. Okay, let's crank that back down. Here, let's turn this guy on. And we're not even going to give it a chance to heat up. We're just going to go for it. We're going to see, look, it's 100%. It's trying to heat up. Let's just do it. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I don't solder this way normally. I'm just doing it for the video, okay? Okay, it's heated it up already. What is that? Set for 380. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to be careful. Whoa! It's trying to be careful. Wow, that did it well because it's set for a really high temperature, and I had to increase this one. But yeah, they both. Whoops, there you go. I just want to show you the temperature over here. But let me pull it out. So, yeah, I didn't notice that was out of camera. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah. So they both unsoldered these things really well. That's awesome. All right, plug this in. I've waited about 30 seconds so far. I'm still waiting. I'll probably start seeing solder melt on the tip. But you know what? Both of these guys, they're high wattage power supplies. I want to say they're both like at least 200 watts. So that means there's lots of power. This guy's a 60 watt. This old Weller pencil iron. Now these things, you know, these things, I got a tub of these things. I bought them from some company and went out of business. But yeah, they were used everywhere, right? Back in the days. I think it's starting to heat up. Now look, there's some smaller wires here. I'll see if I can remove one of these. Okay, I'm gonna wait a minute, but you know what? So both these soldering irons, they use the same kind of tips, basically the same pencils. Now this one actually has the Sugon. Okay, let's wait. Let's see what that heats up to. Okay, 385. If I push this down, I can turn up and down the temperature right here on this iron. Okay, I mean right on the pencil. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now this one's been around for a little bit, so you see how it's got almost like a permanent bend. I mean, it's still pretty flexible, but you know, it's got a bend in the iron. Where this one's new, so it doesn't really have that yet. But okay, let's see. I smell this guy, so let's try it out. Okay. So it's capable of 60 watts. It's a pretty big tip on this, which gives it the, you know, an advantage over the two I just used. I can feel it heating up the wire. Okay, I see solder melting. Okay, we're almost, yeah, we're gonna get there. Yep, there we go. Look at that, 60 watts. That was capable of undoing a lot smaller gauge wire. You know, maybe 18, 20 gauge wire. That's probably 18 gauge. You know, on a big old thing like that. So, all right. So just for comparison, again, this is a very small tip, so it's kind of unfair to be, I got the big tips that are meant for this kind of stuff, but let's just try it. I just took it off, so it's waking up. See the percentage? I think that's percentage power. Look at that. It's melting the solder already. That was super fast. Okay. So let's try this guy. Now he's heating up because he's been asleep. A little bit bigger tip than this one, but not much. Oh, look at that. Super fast. Okay, super fast. So these kind of irons with these integrated tips heat up super fast compared to the old school tips. So there you go. Just want to show you an example. All right, guys, so what do you think? I'm going to put some affiliate links down below. Appreciate using those. Doesn't cost you anything extra, and it supports the channel. And yeah, these big heavy wires are so big, they had to spread the wire in two and take it to two different terminals. So when you're heating up from one terminal, it still has to heat up the whole big old wire that's soaking the heat out and the other terminal it's tied to be able to undo it. So yeah, crazy easy, crazy fast. Didn't even use the proper tip, and they made, yeah, it was easy, right? I've got big tips, the big blades and that are they're proper ones to use for something like that. And also, if you know, versus just tugging it out, unless you just, you know, if you're doing that kind of work, it's good to wear gloves and goggles, especially glasses. You know, if you burn your hand, that one thing, but if you get a little piece of solder hitting you in the eyeball, that's a whole different thing. So be very careful soldering, okay, guys? These soldering irons are super, super capable, so be very careful. Hey, I want to give 2 thumbs up to my Patreons and my YouTube members. My YouTube members right now, they've got 3 different levels. I got just a member, the supporter, and a team member. I got 1 team member. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. You guys, if you liked the video, if it was useful, give a thumbs up. That's a free way to support the channel. But I just wanted to do this just to show some people, you know, kind of poo-poo the Chinese-made stuff. They don't think it's very good. They keep on wanting to tell themselves that, I guess. In the last few years, it's been a little scary for me because as an engineer working in the defense industry, I've seen how well the Chinese, you know, I think that it's true. Back in the day, they used to copy. They used to actually clone items. I mean, literally clone electronics. IBM had their computers cloned back in the day. So when you had a copy or Chinese made one, people call them clones because that's essentially, well, it's really what they were. Well, over the years, they started to maybe take other people's designs, copy them and things like that. Still, a lot of people think that's the way they are. But you might be surprised that your favorite brand is made by these guys, white labeled, they call it, with your favorite brand's name on. For instance, this power supply, this Tektronix right here, it was made by GWN's Tech. Just as an example, okay? There's examples like that all over the place. So the scary thing for us engineers today, in the States at least, and if you're in some other country besides China, you should be scared too, because they've gone past copying and now they've learned to design and make their own stuff, and they can do so at a very low cost. So not only are they coming out with their own stuff, it's very nice, and in different fields of electronics. You guys, I have a little DJI helicopter around here. Well, quadcopter, right? I was trying to see if it was within arm's reach, but man, that thing is crazy nice. But there's lots of examples like that. The meters I show, the power supplies. So, you know, you can bash these things if you want, if it makes you feel better. And you can, and you know what's funny is people will say, well, buy Hioki, that's the brand name. You know, back when I started in electronics, Hioki was the knockoff. They were knocking off Weller and some other stations that were Unger. Weller and Unger pretty much were the 2 soldering stations of choice here in the United States. And, you know, JBC, I think, overseas maybe. And that's what these might look like. JBC came along later. I didn't even know about it back in the day when I was buying Weller. And I bought my first Hioki soldering station. It kind of shattered. It's over here in a box. I was going to try to glue it together because I wanted to at least display it like, but it's funny because I've seen a few of those still in use. But yeah, Hioki was the inexpensive, cheap knockoff back in the day. Now they're a brand name. People are like, oh, buy them. Well, what's happened to their price? They're not cheap anymore. Now they're, you know, you get a name pretty soon. You know, that's what will happen with these guys. They'll get a name, they'll just keep on, probably if they do like everybody else, they'll keep on finding that point where people will keep paying for it, and then they'll raise the price. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But right now, the Sugon and this Fnirsi, two good options as far as I'm concerned. So there you go, guys. If you're in a small business, if you're at a home hobby, I hate to call these hobbyist soldering irons because they're way better than professionals used not too long ago. So, or even what they're using today. I mean, it's ridiculous to call things hobbyist just because they're low cost. But anyway, two low cost soldering stations. There you go. Getting off my soapbox. We'll see you next time.